For doctor's advice, always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we will be talking about understanding and breaking free from transforming your self-sabotaging behaviors. And during this episode, we will discover and you will understand what are self-sabotaging behaviors. Learn how to identify the root causes of your self-sabotaging behaviors and why they persist. Learn practical tools and break free from destructive patterns and discover how to replace old habits with empowering choices that align you with your highest potential. And together we'll create a life you love. I'm your host, Nanci Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive business expert. I combine my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities to transform your life. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. So, let's talk about what self-sabotaging behaviors are. So, self-sabotaging behaviors are behaviors that hurt you. They're behaviors that at one point in your life, they served a purpose on some level, but they're destructive. They're not helpful to you. And these are these self-sabotaging behaviors are behaviors you want to let go of. And let me give you examples of what those behaviors are. Like, for example, it could be overspending, overeating. It could be, excuse me, it could be procrastination. And then sometimes they're really destructive, like any of the addictive behaviors like drinking or gambling or all the different addictive behaviors are self-sabotaging behaviors. And then there's also, it could be nail biting. It could be all the different things that you may do that when after you finish doing them, you feel maybe guilty or you feel shame or there's something there. And these are the behaviors that you want to work on letting go. And Charles just asked a question. He asked, do we all have some? So that's an interesting question. And I would say that we probably, most human beings, if not all, have some type of self-sabotaging behavior. And there's a scale. Some may not be as self-sabotaging as others. And as you move through your life, you want to be letting go of the self-sabotaging. Anytime that you're feeling guilt or shame or not good enough or not worthy or anything that stops you from moving towards your potential, where you dream of or where you want to be, or even if you're not really clear what that is or where you want to go, if you're finding a way to not get there and there's destructive feelings and like that guilt or shame, because I also want to remind you feelings are not destructive like anger or fear or grief or they're energies that want to move through. They're not bad, they need to move through your energy field. So on some level, we probably, most of us have some type of behavior. And depending on, let's say, your feelings, if you have low self-esteem and you came from a lot of trauma, you may have more self-sabotaging behaviors, or those behaviors may be more severe than someone that came from a healthier family. So hopefully that answered your question. If you have any other questions, let me know. Okay, Misty asks, is there a place we could see a list of these behaviors? So I'm going to tell you what I'll do, Misty. All right. So we're going to talk about them, and then I will create a list of self-sabotaging behaviors. And then I'm going to find a way to put them out there so that you can see the list. And, or I may make a document so that you can maybe do some kind of document so that you can take the list and work on transforming them. Now, we're going to go over it during the show, but I will definitely create a list for you, and I'll have that for you next time. How does that sound? So that way you can look at, okay, and ask yourself, because this is the question you want to ask yourself. Is the behavior that I'm doing now enhancing my life, making me feel better about myself? Or is the behavior hurting me? Is the behavior making me, when I do this behavior, do I feel guilt? When I do this behavior, am I feeling shame? When I do this behavior, does it lower my feelings of like self-esteem? Like, I'll give you an example, and I've talked about smoking. Smoking, I used to smoke, and now it took me a long time to get over my smoking habit, but I finally did. But every time I lit up, I was like, there was a part of me that, yes, it was, and I'm doing this in air quotes for those of you who are listening. It was a part of me like, oh, it was soothing me in the moment. And that's what sometimes that's what self-sabotaging behaviors sometimes are doing for you. They may be soothing you in the moment, but in the long run, it's hurting you. And I know Misty said thank you. So yes, I will make sure that I will get that to you. Mickey asks, that would be nice. I want to see the list as well. Okay, great. So I am definitely, we're going to be working on that for you for next week. Okay. So, and then I'll figure out to tell you where to find it, or I may create a link so that you can get it, or we'll figure it out. I'll let you know next week. Stay tuned. So let me go over my Psych 101 lesson. So those of you who know, this is just beginner's mind. Whenever I'm teaching, I always ask and invite you to have beginner's mind. You may have heard this many, many times, or maybe this is the first time you're hearing it, but open to every time you hear something, whether you've heard it many times or you've heard it the first time, the beginner's mind is like, ooh, how can I learn something new about this? So this is my Psych 101 lesson. And when you're consciously in and bringing it back to like when you are consciously aware and making an empowered decision, like listening to the show or wanting that list or first time hearing that phrase. Thank you, Charles. Yep, first time. Or that conscious place of awareness, of empowerment, of making the decision, asking the question so that you can gain clarity, that is your conscious mind. And again, your conscious mind empowers you. It empowers you to create, to become aware, to allow yourself to make decisions that can be life-changing. And so your conscious mind is really important for you. And then and your conscious mind is when you are conscious, when you are aware, when you're alert, when you're in present time. Then you're in conscious awareness, you're in your conscious mind. Now, when you're doing something or you're present, that's your conscious mind. Now, it could be combined with other parts, which I'm going to get to shortly, but your conscious mind is all that conscious alignment and awareness. Your subconscious mind, from the moment you will conceive to present time, has recorded every moment, every belief, every emotion, and it is the self-sabotaging behaviors that are coming from your subconscious or unconscious mind. And your unconscious, subconscious mind, actually, it's 95% of your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings are coming from your subconscious, unconscious mind until you start shifting and changing and becoming consciously aware and then making conscious decisions to change. That's how your conscious mind empowers you. Now, then there's your superconscious mind. And your superconscious mind is that part of you that is your higher self, this wise, unconditionally loving part of you that everyone has. And then there's your soul, the core energy essence of who you are. Your superconscious mind are your angels, your guides, your beings of light. And your superconscious and your conscious mind work together to help you to create those new patterns. And it's also in healing those subconscious patterns, those subconscious ways of being that help you to transform those behaviors. When I do hypnosis, that's one of the reasons why I love hypnosis. Now, hypnosis has gotten a bad rap because if you've seen TV or movie or stage shows on hypnosis, some people get really scared of hypnosis because they think you're out of control. But what I want to tell you is that hypnosis is a relaxed state of body and mind. And what happens is that when you are in the hypnotic trance, you're not asleep. You're actually awake, aware, alert, and you are in control. You do not have to do anything that that you don't want to do or say. Somebody who's hypnotizing you cannot make you do or say anything that's out of alignment with your moral code or doesn't feel right to you. Now, like when you're doing the stage hypnosis, there are people that refuse to do it. And the stage hypnotist will say bye, or whatever. But most of those people on some level are agreeing that they will do it. And that's why they do it. So they quack like a dog or bark like a dog or whatever the stage hypnosis person is doing. But what I really want you to know is hypnosis is a powerful tool to transform these self-sabotaging behaviors. Now, when you really want to transform them. Okay, we got a question coming in. Charles said, "Are you sure about that? Seems it could be dangerous." So with hypnosis, okay, now when there's here's the thing, and this is my what's the word I'm looking for? This is my when I'm doing hypnosis and when I teach hypnosis, I am teaching the safety protocols. Okay. Now, are there people who don't know what they're doing or they may do whatever? Yeah, I'm not going to say that there are not. Okay. So if you're making a conscious choice to go to a hypnotist, you want to make sure that it's somebody that you trust and that you feel safe with, and that you will allow yourself to go into the hypnotic trance. Because if you don't go into the hypnotic trance, and what might happen, and I see the question came in, Misty, what might happen is if you don't go into the hypnotic trance, it may be because you're not feeling safe. You're not allowing yourself to relax enough. Now, and again, this is all part of the journey. So you want to make sure that you're connecting with somebody and that you go to somebody that you feel safe enough and that you trust enough to do the hypnosis. Now, is so hypnosis is a powerful tool. Can people use it? Yes. Can people use it in the wrong way? Yes. And that's with anything and everything. Okay. So what I'm sharing with you is when hypnosis is used in a healthy, positive way that supports you in healing, because it is a powerful tool to heal those self-sabotaging behaviors. There are statistics, and I don't have them offhand, but there are stats that people are helped to lose weight, quit smoking. And the stats are when they use hypnosis, it becomes higher. But if you really, on some level, don't want to quit or change, hypnosis won't even work either. It won't. So all important information. I'm here to share information with you that will help you to become more aware, more alert, that will support you in doing what you need to do to change your life and be informed. So, Charles, hopefully that answered your question. If you have anything else, and thank you, because then I was able to go to that other piece. And yes, like any tool, anything, things can be used for the positive and things can be used for the negative. Okay, Misty, seems ethics needed to play a part in this. So I want you to know that the organization that certified me and that it's the International Association of Counselors and Therapists. And the association also, those are the people I certify. When somebody gets a certification from me, they're getting it through IACT. We call it IACT. So there is a whole code of ethics. And that's when you also know that you're getting trained. Like if you ever wanted to get trained in becoming a hypnotist or a hypnotherapist, if you ever want to get trained, then you want to make sure that you're getting trained by an organization that has a code of ethics, that has a body, so that you're able to go to someone. And you, as a person who wants to go to someone, you can ask, where did you get trained? Who trained you? Did they have a code of ethics? You have every right to ask as many questions as you want. And if that person gets upset with you or doesn't want to answer questions, then that would be a good warning sign, a big warning sign, like, oh, well, maybe this isn't a person that I want to have hypnosis with. So just really want to say hypnosis is a powerful tool. And really the behaviors that you form from those self-sabotaging behaviors that were formed are behaviors that were formed from your subconscious, unconscious mind. And it came because of needs that weren't met. So, for example, needs that weren't met, or covering up trauma or pain or feelings. So, okay, I'll go back to my example of smoking. So, I believe that when I started smoking, which as a teenager, I was covering up the pain. I was covering up the pain of the trauma that I had had. And there were so many feelings that were happening for me. Smoking was a way that I numbed the pain. And so then I was like, I knew that I needed to quit smoking because I knew that it wasn't good for me. And it was a long process. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes you may need to be in the process of working on letting go of those behaviors. Sometimes it may be longer than others. It depends on what was the reason that you started those behaviors and and also this is really important. The more you learn emotional intelligence, which we've done on other shows, the more you learn coping skills, which we've done on other shows, and if any of you have any questions as we go through, we can I can go back there because I always want to serve you. So when you work on that emotional intelligence and feel safer feeling your feelings, and you find new tools, coping skills, like the breath work and breathing exercises. And we've talked about that. And the breath work, the breathing, and the other tools like journaling or other techniques and modalities, such as emotional freedom technique with that's the tapping, and tapping through either the emotion or the belief, whatever going on for you. So it's finding those new coping skills that will help you move through it. Now, you wonder, okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit, and this may help you get those behaviors, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the repeating patterns. And I will definitely, next show will go deeper into the behaviors, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the repeating patterns and what that means. So what happens is, if you have a repeating pattern that keeps occurring in your life that can be self-destructive or self-sabotaging, then that's something you want to pay attention to. So, for example, these subconscious patterns are trying to get our attention. And it's about you becoming aware consciously and with your superconscious mind that, oh, this is something to become aware of. Like, so again, if there's certain areas of your life, because I was talking about guilt or shame around the behaviors. But if there are certain areas of your life where you have guilt or shame, if you are in a relationship that on some level you know is not good for you, and that other person is unwilling to get help, but you're staying in a relationship, then you need to ask yourself, what is the pattern here? What's that repeating pattern? And what do I need to do to heal? Like, for example, I've worked with clients like Joni. Joni was a client that came to me, and she was she would end up in relationships with men that would treat her badly. And and she knew it wasn't healthy to stay with them. Like, for example, she ended up in a relationship with Nick, and so she's in this relationship with Nick. Nick is treating her badly, and she knows she needs to leave this relationship because he was more emotionally abusive than physically. So he would say demeaning things to her and put her down, and wasn't nice to her. And so Joni ended up, you know, she knew this was a pattern because Nick wasn't the first man that she was with that was like that. And as we started exploring this pattern, and she would have guilt and shame about it. She would feel guilty that she's staying. She felt shame that she was staying. And she felt out of control because she didn't know how to leave. So we worked together. We worked together to heal the subconscious need in her that was keeping that pattern in place. And the subconscious need that was keeping that pattern in place was her not feeling worthy or deserving of being in a healthy relationship. And she learned unhealthy relationship from her parents. So, and when she was a kid, she said, I never want to have a relationship like my parents. And now when she grew up, there was actual physical abuse. So she made sure that she was not in physically abusive relationships. When she first started, she was. And then she ended up going to a relationship where it was emotionally abusive. And we worked on healing those patterns, healing that part of her that kept going into those relationships that need to be loved so badly and not feeling that worthy and deserving of a good relationship. And as we worked on helping her to heal that, she started feeling better. She let go of that relationship. And she started feeling better and she started feeling more empowered. And she started making healthier choices so that the next time someone like Nick would come along, the red flag would go up. Oh, this is not a good one. This is not a healthy red flag. And she would learn to say no instead of continuing into something. She was able to pick up the signs so she didn't have to repeat the patterns. So that's an example of those repeating patterns. And it's really important for you to look at how those patterns repeat in your life. You know, for some people, it could be relationships. For other people, it could be money patterns. Maybe you don't feel worthy or deserving of an abundant income, or you have money and then you lose it, or you're just getting by. So it could be, or some people, it may be health, like the the unhealthy behaviors around eating or drinking or smoking. So all of those are ways that plays out. So another way that it plays out in either relationships or jobs, this could be playing out in a job situation too, is either leaving or being left. And if you're ever in a relationship or have been in relationships where there's a pattern where either you're the one to leave before it goes bad so that you don't have to get close, or you end up in a relationship where they end up leaving and you feel abandoned again and again. And that can play out in your job too. That if you end up having jobs where it always seems that you're being let go, then that could be playing out in the work scenario. Or, so again, this is all patterns of things that you want to be aware of. So these are patterns that you want to keep becoming aware of, learning, because these things can really, when you start becoming aware of those repeating patterns, and as you listen to the show and as you learn more about yourself and who you are and become more aware, you start getting aware of the patterns that you might not have been aware of. You're still doing the same behaviors or the patterns are still happening. But now you're like, oh. And you may see it in other people, but here's the thing. You cannot change another person. You may see them in self-destructing, self-sabotaging, or destructive patterns, but you can't change them. they have to be willing to change. And so it's really important that what you could do, what I tell my clients when they have relatives or friends that they see in destructive patterns, and that person hasn't asked them, can you tell me, do you think this is healthy? They haven't asked for advice. So you're not meant to give advice. But if what I say, since you can't control them, the only person that you can control and change, and I don't even like to use the word control, it's about becoming aware and making an empowered decision to change, to take an action that will help you change, to transform your behavior or even how you relate to the person that has the unhealthy pattern. Because an example of that, and I'll give you the example as soon as I come back. And what I want to remind you is that you can help yourself get that awareness and help yourself tune in by doing my meditation or downloading the PDF. And that is, you want to go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com, the name of the show, /meditation. So it's the name of the show, inspiredandempoweredliving.com /meditation. And it will help you to clear your energy, connect to your higher self, this wise, unconditionally loving part of you, and then get intuitive decisions that or information that wants to come through. So definitely you want to download the meditation. Okay. So you're aware that you know somebody that has a self-destructive pattern. What do you do? The first thing, and remember, I said the only person you can change is you. You can't change them. So what you need to do is you need to change how you relate to them. So has any of you ever heard of the word enabler? An example of this is if you know somebody who's an addict, and it could be alcohol, it could be food, it could be gambling. An enabler is someone that helps foster that pattern. Giving an alcoholic a drink, if they're trying to be in recovery and you give them a drink, oh, have a drink, no problem, which will set them on the wrong road. Or if they're trying to diet and you're like, oh, come have a cookie. Like, oh, it's just one cookie. But to a food addict, once you start, whether it's the sugar or the alcohol or the gambling, just one doesn't work unless you heal the behaviors. So an enabler enables that pattern. The way you heal you, empowering yourself, and perhaps helping the other person that you care about, is that you end up stopping that enabling pattern. And if you're around them and it feels uncomfortable, or you really don't want to be a part of it, that you will change what you say or do around them. So for example, going from offering an alcoholic a drink, you may decide you don't want to drink either, or you may stop drinking. Or you may say, if you're going to continue to drink, then I need to take a walk or leave or not participate with you. Like, it's you setting your boundary and then being able to stop your enabling behavior. So that's an example of, again, and I also want you to know that an enabler pattern, it's a pattern also, and that usually comes from your childhood. You may have grown up with some type of addictive parent, like an alcoholic parent, a parent who gambled, or an overeater parent. And that was what you learned, you saw, you integrated, not necessarily in a healthy way. And then what happens is you end up recreating that in your life. And that's why this discussion is really important and really powerful. And so, to recap, you were going to, next week, I will bring in more of a list of the self-sabotaging behaviors. And also, not only you'll have a list, maybe I'll make a checklist for you. So that way you can look at it. And then we also talked about the conscious mind, that empowered part of you, conscious awareness, your subconscious, which is where those self-sabotaging behaviors started, and then your superconscious, which is those parts of you that are here to help and support you and give you that support. And then we talked about patterns and how those patterns can continue. And next week we're going to continue with part 2, going deeper into understanding those patterns or behaviors, and then what you can do to transform them. And so I wish you an amazing and inspired and empowered day and night and week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.